Well, hey guys, today we're going to be talking about Mossy Oak. We cleaned it out. I took my shop vac, vacuumed it out, and also we're going to be talking about this 260Z here, talking about wiring and also sound deadening inside the car here. So be sure to watch that after the Mossy Oak content. Let's get started. Alright, we got the back of this car cleaned out. Got the speakers out of this thing. The only rust I really see is in that corner. It's not too bad. When you look underneath it, looked pretty good, but now looking inside of it, looks really good. This car was originally a brown color, as you can kind of see there. Really nice. So I got all the harness in it. Because I unplugged our fuel tank, everything there. That's those connectors you see there. Has a little rust in it, but not bad. Anyways, now I'm going to move to the front. We got quite a mess up there. Yeah, so looking at the front of the car here, we'll just take a quick gander before I vacuum it. Let me clean out that glove box over there. What a mess. And then we got this nice little rusty pile. I think those are lug nuts. What's left of lug nuts. It's pretty bad. There's a handle. That's your hood release lever. Got a few little doodads here. I don't know what they are yet. It's like a knob. A bunch of rusty old bolts, pretty much. So, yeah. It's got a cap for, looks like a bump stop of some sort. Those are for a radio. I bet you that's for this radio that's aftermarket. I bet that's what that's for. But anyways, we'll get all this cleaned up. Get the seat out of here. That's what I'm going to do next. Get the seat out. Of course, you can see our floor pans there. Not much left of those things. Alright, I got the driver's side seat out, got this thing all vacuumed out. It was full of just pecans and that kind of stuff. But yeah, we definitely don't have any floorboards in this car. I knew we probably didn't, but we don't. That's just the sound deadening mat. Same thing here, it's just, they can just push on that floor, it moves. Not much holding it together. Seat bracket, it's gone. This one's cracked. Somebody got cracked right there. So yeah, it's definitely not pretty. Also vacuumed out the center console a little bit here, just kind of get it cleaned up a little bit. Put my light over here. Kind of see, just kind of getting rid of some of those acorns and I still got to get over there to the glove box. That door there is just seized shut. I've got some PB blasters sitting in it and the latches and stuff, trying to get that to free up, but it's really tight. But yeah, you just kind of see the floor. She is not pretty, but you know, floor pan that can be replaced. But anyways, we got to work our way over to the other side. If I can get that door open, as soon as I get that door open, I can do a little bit more to it. But it's a good look at. Now, this rust right here you're seeing along this edge, that's just the carpet bracket. That's what holds the interior in. And I think I can actually see some of the frame underneath that, and it looks good. Like this is actually the frame back here, the padding on it. That's the actual trim piece. This actually rusted out. That's what this is. Just like a vinyl overlap. That's, as you can see. Yeah, I can actually bend that out. And there's your actual body right there. You just kind of see it's just that trim piece that's rusted out really bad along there. But anyways, making progress. Alright, got the glove box all vacuumed out here. Still got some debris in it, but better than what it was. Still got this side of the car to do. As you can see, it's still a very big mess, but I did find a rotary button. We got a rotary button out of the deal here. It's a little oxidized, but it doesn't look doesn't look too worn out actually. But anyways, got that. Still gotta get this door here open. It does not open at all. But just to recap here, I got the back of it cleaned up. Got some old carpet and stuff there I took out. Got the driver's side removed. Of course, you probably can't see it because the lighting in here is not very good. Grab my light. So I got all this cleaned up. There's not much to the floor here, but you know, good floor pan kit, some seat brackets, it'll fix it right up. Got the center console kind of cleaned out here. Glove box vacuumed out. And so that's kind of what we did today. Lots of cleaning. We had a lot of junk. Lots of pecans. Also found a 240Z emblem in there. That's off the trunk. Play right there. But anyways, that's a little bit of progress. I'm going to come back probably next Friday and do the other side. And what I might end up having to do is get the seat out from the driver's side so I can pull the door panel off and actually go inside the door and physically get that latch to break free. I've taken the trim piece off, and I'll show you right quick. So I've taken the trim piece off right here. I can go down here with a screwdriver, and I've actually tapped on the actual mechanism, and it's seized. I can't get it to move. There's a trim piece right there. But anyways, that's what we got to this Friday. And I'm back home after the day working on Mossy Oak, and man, what a nice thing it is to come to a car that's not rusted out. But tonight we're actually going to be doing some things extra here to this car. This is my 260. We're going to be installing some sound deadening mats. This is a kill mat. I think this is the 80 mil. That's what I've got here. Got 2 boxes of them, so I have plenty along with the rollers, so I can get it in all the corners really good. But I'm actually at the point now where I'm going to start this, because I've actually started pulling the harness and stuff out of the 2+2. As you can kind of see here, I've test fit all this to make sure everything's going to work. These are our relay panels and our main connector block here out of the 2+2. So I've got all that, and like I said, I've already kind of pre-installed it to see how it fit. Everything works really well there. The only difference really between this and the 260 is the fuse panel mounts sideways instead of horizontal or vertical on the inside of the kick panel of the passenger side. So that's really the only difference between this car and the 280, and also the ignition module is relocated. But so with that test fitted, knowing that all works, I'm going to start actually putting in our sound deadening and cutting out for our holes and everything we're going to need in order to get everything put in here. But anyways, let's get started on that. Alright, I got that much of it done here. It is a slow process, but I can already tell a difference in the sound of this car just by putting this in here. So it's going to be a kind of a heat barrier and a sound barrier. This kind of helps with everything. But using those tools there just to roll it in once I get it in place. And I think probably the hardest part is just kind of choosing where you want one to go and how you want to shape it, and then how you need to cut it out for the you know, like the clips and that kind of stuff. But making progress. I'm going to keep at it, and I'll bring you guys back when I get it done. I'm going to try to at least get the firewall done, because that's where I'm actually starting to assemble everything. And then as I work through the car, I'll actually progress into the floorboards and the rear of the car, etc. here. Alright, it's the next day here, and I've made some good progress on this sound deadening mat here. And I've just been working on it on and off throughout the day, because this is rough on your legs and back. And not to mention I worked on Mossy Oak yesterday starting out. And I came home and did this. And so I was a little sore this morning. I can tell I'm going to be even more sore tonight. But I've got most of it where I want to stop at. Because I don't really want the stuff in the floor yet till I get to this point. Mostly because it's actually like a foil. And just based off how it feels, I'm afraid once I get in here I'm going to be working this car. So I'm going to be standing in this floor and twisting my feet and that kind of stuff. And you could have a mess if you tear apart that foil, because it's like a tar material underneath there. And so I decided to just kind of wait and work my way up. But I've got it now to where we can work in the firewall. I can start installing my electronic stuff, all the harness, the fresh air vents, that kind of stuff that goes in here, the drain hoses for the cowl that actually run through the car. So I'll be installing all that. And then once I get all that in there, the AC system back in here, the dashboard, then I can actually start working my way through the floors even more, because I'll be, you know, about ready for interior, so to speak. But anyways, this stuff really does work well. It goes in really good. I'm really happy with how it works. It's easy to shape, it's easy to cut, and you know, it goes in very smooth. Of course, I'm being kind of frugal. You know, anything I cut out, like for example this hole here I cut for the gear shifter, I've taken those patches and I've actually made a square up right here. So I use that piece right here to make a square here, so it doesn't have a weird angle up there at the front. Same thing on the other side. So I'm just trying to, you know, try to be frugal with this stuff as well, because it's not real cheap. You know, this stuff's about $70 a box, but I still have a bunch left over in the first box. I bought 2 boxes, and I'm probably, I wouldn't even say I'm halfway through the box yet, and it's already covered this much. So, you know, it's doing pretty good. Of course, I'm going to have some weird stuff coming up. I'm going to cut like little, you know, filler areas like this, for example. That's a gap right there. But I've been trying to keep, you know, full sheets as much as I can here. But anyways, I'm at the point now I'm going to start working on the relays and the harness, and like I say, the fresh air vents and all that good stuff. This car does have the fresh air vents like a 240, so you have the cutouts right here. The fresh air vent comes, you have a little pull that you open up the butterfly. It's got basically a butterfly valve, and you open that up and lets fresh air come in the car when you drive. You can shut it, and so it's very much like a 240 there. And then this is actually, I don't know if you can see, I'm going to try to get down here the best I can. Let me actually change my camera angle here. So now we're looking actually underneath the cowl. This is your fresh air vent for your blower motor. That big hole there. And then that little tube right there, that's actually your drain for your cowl. So it comes in there, it makes it kind of elbows, and it goes to that grommet right there you see. So that's how that works. Just for those that are curious. This is where your terminal block for your connector hangs. Right there, it slides in position. I'll show you all that here in a few minutes actually, because I'll get all that in here. But anyways, just thought you guys would like to kind of see this right quick. Just kind of see how this stuff looks. I mean, I can tell a huge difference in the sound of this car. It doesn't have near the resonance it had when the matting's out of here. Alright, now I have our relay panel in here along with our terminal block. I showed you yesterday how that would hang on that little bracket there. And got all that installed. Got our harness ran down here along the way. Goes all the way down here where I'm setting. Kind of set very weird here. But it goes in there and plugs in. That's where it connects to the back harness. So I've got it laid out very much like the 280. But I've still got everything kind of loose here, so I can actually pull this away and I'll show you what it looks like behind it. Pull this out. You can kind of see it just clips in that little hook there. But now you can actually see our fuse panel, which actually that mounts different from this to a 280. I had to mount it sideways. On a 280 it actually mounts down here. On the 260 it mounts back over here. But you can see our fresh air vent, that little tube, and you can also see that hose there that's for our drain of our cowl there. Where I showed you yesterday how that kind of went in there. And you can actually see it. And of course here's that lever I was talking about where you can shut that butterfly valve on that thing. It's got a little shroud that comes down. It blows air out the bottom here. That's how that works. But anyways, I thought you guys would like to see that. Put that back up there. And making progress. But I got our harness all ran here as well. This is where it plugs into our center console. I've got to clean these connectors up still. They had a little bit of oxidation in them. But that's where our center console plug in. This is for our AC unit. Right here it comes over. And our blower motor, of course, goes right here. But it's looking sharp. It's looking good. I'll get up and just kind of show you this right here. So showing you where I was. That's where we plug into the back. Here's our back harness. It's actually kind of cool. I still have the stickers on them from the 280Z. But here's the relay. I got it just sitting right here. It's going to mount to this. I'm probably going to drill some holes and just mount that guy. That's where it went in the 280. But yeah, probably the biggest struggle I had getting this harness out of the 280 was actually these two connectors right here. I had to pull these out of this plastic retainer, and that was a fight. You had to. They don't really hold from the front. They hold from the back. They got 4 clips in the back, little plastic clips that just kind of put pressure on them. You got to get all 4 of those disconnected to get it to slide out because it's actually got a guide, so you can't let it rock it like a normal connector. You have to just kind of like get those started and then push it to get those things through. That's quite a job, especially with this plastic when it gets old. It's a little tougher, I'm sure, than what it was factory. But I'll show what the 280Z looks like real quick. Something else I will point out right quick too, I almost forgot, was actually the electronic ignition module does move on this car. So in the 260s, it actually looks like this right here. This is our ignition module, and it actually bolts up right there. Is where it goes. And I'll show you how it bolts up in the 280 also when I show you that. Now looking at the dashboard of the 280 here, of course you can see I've removed most of everything. The only harness we have left is our engine bay harness. That's the 2 connectors I had to get out of the connector housing I was talking about. But here's your ignition module in this car. It bolts right here instead of up here, so I'm going to be relocating that up there. We got plenty of harness to work with, so I can actually reloom this and get that fixed up. Here's where our fuse panel went right there. You can kind of see where it's cut out for it. Right there, and it kind of fits where the door hinge is. But that's different. But also you can see too that this one doesn't have the fresh air vent. It's actually blocked off from factory. But then there's also that little hose you can see. Same kind of setup there with the drain hose for your cowl. So it works exactly the same way. But slight variances between the cars, but nothing too crazy. And then these wires here, you see I unplugged those. Those actually go to your little switch right here. That's what that is. I'll be pulling those as well. I'll probably just get new ones, honestly, for that. But anyways, that's really where we are with this car. That's the only bit of harness left. Of course, we got our air conditioning stuff that we got to pull. We're not going to be pulling all that out and cleaning all that up. I've still got the 260Z AC unit as well, which may have some better parts. So between the two, I'm going to make a really nice AC system, a factory AC system, and just get this thing all fixed up. But right here's where your AC plugs in. That's where that wire comes across that you saw in the 260 plugged in right here. Of course, we still got our defrost vents and all that to pull as well. But we're making progress on this little car. It's coming down to where we need it. But also, I should get up here and I'll show you this right quick. So this is where the harness ran, just like I've got it ran in the 260. The only difference is it ran through this hole right here. And of course, that's where that relay mounts. You can see those two screws I put back in there. But yeah, it's really a shame. This car's good all the way up to here. When you get back here, and that's just where it gets really, really bad back over here, and of course into the back seat. Like I said, it's the only reason I'm even doing this to this car. But I got a fan control I'm going to be installing. So that's something I'm going to be adding to our harness. I got put electronic fans in this car when I redo it, so I don't have the clutch mechanical system. So doing that, as well as the alternator for GM. It's going to be a 3-wire alternator, so still got to wire that in as well. But I'll also show you the blower motor right quick, how that works. So here's our blower motor. I've actually pulled it out. I'm going to be using the one out of the 260 since it's got a lot of rust in it. But basically what it does, this is your blower, of course your motor here. This is your resistors for setting your speed of your motor. And then of course this is your fresh air control. Here you can see it's actually got a diaphragm there. It opens up, now it's your fresh air come in. It's all vacuum servo controlled right here. And if you want to test your servo, you can actually do that very easily by pushing it down and then putting your finger over the port right here. If you can push it down and hold your finger over that and it holds the position, you know this is good. Or you can put a vacuum pump on it and actually let it suck it down. And if it holds, then you know that's working. But basically when it's in recirculate, it just breathes through here. You can see our squirrel cage fan in there. And then when you activate the fresh air, that little door comes down, shuts that off. And then it's pulling air from the cowl. That's how that works. But anyways, that's just a look at how that part of it works as well. It's pretty simple. Pretty simple there. Of course, this just bolts basically butts up against the AC unit. So that works, pushes air through it. I'm getting ready to pull the underhood wiring harness out of the 280 here. Just kind of show you how I'm doing it here. I'm actually labeling all my connectors here. Even though I know what they are, I've got them documented as far as color coding. Which you guys have seen that video. If you haven't seen that video, I've got a video on the actual harness and what things go to. But basically what I'm doing, I'm just labeling the connectors like so, using these little tags. And I'm going to be modifying this harness. So I'm actually be unlooming a lot of things on this harness and adding some harnesses to it. As well as taking some things out of it that I don't need anymore, such as the voltage regulator. I'm doing away with that. I'm using a 3-wire GM alternator on this car, so it'll kind of clean that up. But basically that's how I'm doing my labeling. Something I did mess up on in that video that I made about the harness, I want to bring this up. And that's actually this piece of harness here that's tied into your injector harness. It's actually not part of the injector harness. It's actually just tied with it so it runs up on top of the engine. But basically all this has is your sending unit for your temperature gauge. Is all this piece of harness here does. These other two connectors are unused. They may be used in the California model, but they're not used in this car. And in fact, if I unplug the connector, there's not even a plug associated with them in the actual harness. So just a note there. I think these must have just been a test wire or something like that at the factory. But just want to update that as well. I've already got our ignition coil and our ballast resistor all unhooked here. And there's actually a piece of harness that goes to the to that harness that I just showed you. It's only got 2 pins, as you can see, for the references there. But basically this harness, like I said earlier on that other video, is just going to pull through the front, come to the front over that way, and of course I'm taking it out under the hood so I don't have to pull all this back through the actual car. But that's basically how it works. So I'm going to get this removed, get this laid out, and I'll just kind of share a little bit more in detail what we've actually got here. Alright, now I have the harnesses pulled out of the 280Z. We got our fuel injection harness, which is, like I say, a separate entity. And then we've got our main under hood harness here, which I've pulled. Going to be doing some modifications as mentioned. You can kind of see some of the repair work I've got to do. Somebody's had to fix something at some point here. It got hot at the alternator wiring right here. You can see it melted that pretty good. Something happened right there. So I'm going to undo this whole loom, redo that, and get rid of the regulator harness and modify all this. So there's going to be some changes to this harness as mentioned. But this is what was under the dash. You can kind of see where our grommet is right there. So that was what was under the dash. This is where our ignition module went in. And then, of course, it goes out to the car. And then this is, of course, our fuel injection harness. That's where it comes into the car right here. There's our relay connections there. Our ignition signal. And then this is actually where it hooks into the harness for power and fuel pump and all that good stuff there. And these are your dropping resistor connectors. And then it goes on out to the piece here. And here's that connector I was talking about with the harness. It plugs in right here. And then this is those wires that goes to the sending unit for the temperature. And then these two black and white wires are not used in that red wire. Just want to show you that real quick as well there. But yeah, the red wire, actually I take that back. The red wire is the advanced, electronic advanced. That hooks to the thermotime switch. Is what that's for. That's what that is. But it's actually a separate entity from the fuel injection harness as well. It plugs into the under hood harness of the car. And now you can see underneath the hood here, there's no longer any wiring. The wiring's gone. We still got the relay panel and the regulators inside this. But this is going away as well. I'm modifying this bracket here. This is for our 260. It's going to be modified to take the place of that. If you had a 260 with air conditioner, this is what you would have had. This has the compressor relay and your seat belt switch. That's actually when I was talking about, it's an emergency reset switch for the weird safeties on the seat belts. That's actually going away. I'm going to use the relay as far as 280 there. And add some extra things there as well. But anyways, that's just a good look at it there without the harness. The only thing left in this car really is the AC unit. And of course I'm going to be using the booster and all that's new. That's a brand new booster I put on when I got this car going. So I got the dropping resistors over there bolted up. You can see these I got to remove. And I'm going to be using some of the brake components as well for this car. But we look inside here. You can see there's no longer any wiring harness in this car there. And the fuel injection harness is also pulled over there, which I'll show you that real quick as well. Around this way. And you can see our hole where our injector harness came through. But that's it. So this car is pretty much, it no longer has any harness in it. So we got just the column stuff I'm going to remove, like the turn signals. Of course I'll be modifying the harness as well for relays in the turn signal, relays in the headlight switch, so we don't actually have all the current on the headlight switch. Just a design flaw of these cars. But anyways, that'll probably do it for this video. I'll bring you guys back once I do some more with this harness and more on that harness as well. But appreciate you guys watching. There'll be more to come here very soon. Take care.